Hello, Corona Yoda here. Hashtag, well, no, that's hashtag Dr. Martone here. And there's so much information. There's so much actually good information out there now. So many positive things. And I just want to take a second to kind of review them, give you my thoughts and comments about what's going on, what the future looks like, how do we open up, and where are we going from here. I first want to say, and a lot of my friends out there that are working with patients with corona, that are in the hospitals, thank you so much for everything that you're doing, and to be able to keep to keep people safe and to actually save lives. So is a new test that people are starting to hear about, an antibody test. And I want to first explain what an antibody test is, and then explain what I believe that this antibody test is going to show. Because this is the stuff that you're not going to hear, and you're not going to hear it because for you to be able to hear this, let's say from the news station, everybody has the same message, the disempowering message on the news, and it drives me crazy. Every time I turn on the news station, they're saying the same thing over and over and over again, and there's no empowering message. It's all about fear. There's no empowering messages. So in let's say they interview what they call a survivor. I mean, it's not a survivor. When you have COVID, I just don't like using the term survivors. I would rather them say, somebody that got over the coronavirus, what was their experience with it? And they dive into this vernacular that is so consistent, and it drives me crazy. So let me uplift you. Let me give you some information and a different way to look at things. So an antibody test is this. Let's say you have a virus, whether it is chicken pox, whether it's a cold, a flu. You can do a test to see if you had that virus, because what your body does, if your body fights viruses normally and naturally, you create these antibodies to it. So when you create antibodies to a virus or having a virus, that you have a permanent immunity to it, and you never lose those antibodies. So you could take an antibody test. Let's say you have the corona, and you think you had it, or you had a cough, or you had a cold, or let's say were diagnosed. Let's say you had corona and you knew you had it because you were diagnosed with it, and you got over it on your own, which a lot of people do. You can take an antibody test months, weeks, years later, and be able to see that you were exposed to it, and you'll never get it again because you have helper T cells and you have antibodies that recognize it and destroy it. So that's what an antibody test is. So you can actually do the antibody test now if you think there was when people were getting sick in December, in January this year, they were getting sick with something weird, right? Often when there's a flu season or a cold season goes around, you hear and everybody and people hear about this, and they hear people say, "I was sick. Oh yeah, there's a cough going around, or there's a stomach bug going around, or there's a bug that's going around, which is a virus that's going around that people are getting and is passing from person to person to person." This happens every single year. Now let's look at the COVID-19, which is a very virulent virus, which means it said in the media that it infects people very, very rapidly. So if this thing was launched in, let's say, Wuhan in China in October, November, it's difficult to know the exact date, but that's when they started testing it. Thousands and thousands and thousands of people were infected, and thousands and thousands and thousands of flights went from China over the US. It was here a long time ago, right? Just statistically thinking. I know that we weren't doing the testing back there, so nobody can say, oh, because the first test was at this point, then this is when it started, and the death rates are all condensed to this point. Well, how about it being here? I mean, it just makes no sense that it wasn't here this whole flu season. When people were getting sick, my wife had it, a lot of people were getting really weird chest things where their lungs were burning. It was difficult for them to take a deep breath, and they were when they went, they got checked. They were targeting it up to, oh, it's just a respiratory cold or respiratory cough. What I foresee is the more people, and I believe asymptomatic people should get tested, the more people that get this antibody test, we're going to see that this thing was here the whole year. And then let's say when somebody had pneumonia or they attributed to a bad flu or a chest congestion, and people were getting this thing, and people were passing away, and they chimed it up for the flu, or maybe they chimed it up to pneumonia. What ended up happening is the death rate was dispersed over a period of time. But in all intents and purposes, I believe that this was here a long time ago. And when we start to take this antibody test, we're going to see that a lot more people have an immunity to it. A lot more people are immune to this than you think. In order to get an immunity, now what will happen, let me go back. In order to get an immunity, you have to be exposed to something, whether it's symptomatic or subsymptomatic, whether getting exposed to something and getting infected with it, being able to become a carrier for it is very, very, very different. So people were exposed to this, and people didn't actually get it, right, per se, or maybe they did get it, and then what ends up happening is over a long period of time, you have a population that will have this antibodies to this, and you're going to start seeing that in the asymptomatic people getting tested. I'm super excited that this test came out, because I'm like, yes, exactly, an antibody test, a test that will show us that this has been here for a lot longer, and there are a lot more people immune to it. That's empowering. That is an empowering message. And now let's fast forward that to the wintertime. To the summertime. The reason why we get sick, or the reason why when we get exposed, we get infected, is because our immune system is compromised. End of story. Drop the mic. That is how it happens. You have immunocompromised immune systems during the winter time because we don't know what to do. And stay tuned in October when I tell you what to do. And it's simply getting rest, and there are a few things that you do to keep your immune system strong during the winter time. But where this is becoming a major issue is not just that you're immunocompromised, but you have a dysfunctional immune system. So people that are overweight, it seems to be affecting more. People with diabetes, it seems to be affecting more. The elderly, it seems to be affecting more. It's affecting more people that have these underlying dysfunctional immune systems. But it infected so many more of us. Now, in the summertime, the empowering thing is the sun's going to be out. It's going to be warmer, more vitamin D. People eating more live foods, hopefully. And we're outside. We'll get more fresh air. There's just so many more things in the summertime that allow our bodies to be stronger. And then when you get exposed to this with a strong immune system, it does not become symptomatic. You don't get infected with it. You can't be a carrier for it. And your immune system gets rid of it, crushes it, makes antibodies for it. Now it's gone and it's eradicated from this planet. People are wanting me to make some vaccine videos. They wanted me to talk more about the vaccine and what I feel about that. I don't think the timing is right for that yet, because I need to find out more information on what's in the vaccine, how they're putting it together. I know where it's coming from. I know that it's a pullout from the Mars and the SARS. There are things about specifically about vaccine that I will be covering. It's just I want to have all the information once I am able to be in front of you, because that one will be a little bit more technical, but I really want to dive into it. I don't believe the end game is a vaccine. I do believe the culture believes that the end game is a vaccine. I believe the end game is you. I believe the end game is you being healthy, having a healthy functioning immune system, being exposed to it. The more the antibody tests are out there, and the more that we see that there's been mass exposure with people with positive antibodies for this that never got it, I think it will put more people at ease. Thank you for connecting. Share this out. I'm really trying to get this information out there. And thank you. I really appreciate it.